Hey people, back again. And if you remember our last video, we're asking the question, well, if it's not COVID, what's it all about? And what it really is about is COVID is quite literally a distraction tool so that the World Economic Forum can implement the Great Economic Reset. And that is all there for you to find out. It's not myth. It's not hard to find out. Please, I urge you to go investigate that one, because it's 101 in this whole thing, and it's very easy to find. Now, what you'll find if you look around, small to medium-sized businesses are the hardest hit right now, and some of them have already gone broke, some of them are teetering on the edge. And all the lockdowns and constraints put on the businesses are quite literally choking off financial supply to the business. So consider this. Hospitality industry, for example, would order in their supplies for the weekend, let's say Monday, Tuesday. They'd sort of know that we need all this, and quite a lot of it would be ordered and delivered by Thursday or Friday. If we have a snap lockdown on Thursday or Friday and everything's already ordered, that still has to be paid for, but then can't be really kept if it's fresh produce, for example. If it's freezable, that's fine, but if it's fresh produce, what do if you're locked down for 2 weeks? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember that? What a joker that Dan is. So we look at those sort of constraints, how financial impacts that you've got to pay for all those supplies that you then can't use. You then have to close your doors. You've still got rent, still got to pay your electricity bill. By reducing the amount of customers through the door by the square meterage to adhere to social distancing. Yes, I'd really like to see the peer-reviewed paper on social distancing too. And all of a sudden, there's less and less cash flowing into the business, which sustains and keeps afloat that business. Pretty simple. Now, eventually, some of those places are going to go broke. And with their dwindling income, they're also going to struggle to pay home bills and struggle to pay mortgages. So this whole, it's only the small businesses, it's going to filter out throughout the whole of the economic system. And once it starts to affect the housing system, because people aren't paying their mortgages, less houses are going to be built, new houses. Well, then all of a sudden you're at a very fundamental level of the economic system here in Australia anyway. We always get told about new constructions. So all of a sudden we've gone from flattening the curve to the economy is teetering, and that's what it's supposed to be doing. It's by design. And you can see it right now in a lot of ways with inflation. Prices are rising. You only have to look for the price rise over the past 6 months on various commodities, especially fuel. You can't keep printing a heap of money and giving it away like ScoMo's been doing and expect there to be no inflation. Again, that's another basic concept of the economy. So we are headed for some, bumpy road with the economy in the next few months. And the constraints that are being put on small business are geared towards doing that. So that's just one aspect. So let's just leave that for the moment. Again, go investigate, go have a look. But a lot of what's going on with the rules and mandates, etc., that they are putting on people, and by that we're talking about social distancing, we're talking about masking, we're talking about the lockdowns, which is actually house arrest, because it's not quarantine. Quarantine is for the sick or the questionable, those who could be sick, not everyone. So with all these constraints, they are teaching us. And what do you mean by teaching us? Well, have you ever heard of Pavlov's dogs? There's a man in the 1890s called Ivan Pavlov, and he's actually into medicine, and he was studying salivation in dogs and wanted to correlate it to humans, basically. But his work actually opened the door to psychology, and it's something 101 of psychology. And again, not a psychologist. However, we're talking about social conditioning, basically, and psychological conditioning. Pavlov basically found that whenever he went to feed the dogs or his assistants, they'd start to salivate when they heard the footsteps of him or his assistants when they were turning up with food. So the dog was becoming conditioned to know that when you hear that sound, food's coming. And they tried a few different things. A metronome, which is the little timing thing for music. It has a click to it, okay? The dogs would salivate with that. They tried with lights, they tried with bells, many different stimulus that once the dog learnt the stimulus, would salivate for food. And a lot of psychological conditioning understanding came from that very study. And what's happening right now is we are Pavlov's dogs. We're being trained for, whether you like to hear this or not, the New World Order. And if you think New World Order is a joke, it's had many books written about it over decades. When we first had our first outbreaks, you quite often heard the term, oh, this is the New World Order, on the television. In fact, I'll leave a link here with, I think it's Tracy Grimshaw, when her first show. They actually said, oh, we've even measured the 1.5 and, we've got to get used to it because this is the New World Order of things. If you think that is just a happenstance that those words were put together in that order, you are wrong. Okay, those kind of shows that Tracy's on, they have lawyers go through scripts. That was absolutely intentional. I think even Brad Hazzard, the Minister for Health in New South Wales, even said in one of his conferences, and I think even the New South Wales Police Minister, I think, but I can't find them at the moment, so I'll only leave Tracy's. I've got her little video there. So, with what we're just saying about being social conditioned, we're being trained, I just want you to have a look at this particular picture right here of two cages. Have no doubt those cages, both of them, are getting smaller. So every time we are, and have you noticed the term, released from lockdown? Really? When we are released from lockdown, we still have some freedoms taken away, but we still consider this now free. So we can't have people to our house for some reason. We've still got to maintain 1.5 metres distance. We've still got to wear a mask. There's a huge list. QR codes, another one. So QR codes is training you to carry your phone with you everywhere. Your phone, whether you realise it or not, is your personal tracking device, not the QR code, your phone. And your phone listens to 90% of your conversations all the time. Okay? So we get released from lockdown, we get freedom, but we still have all these other mandates and constraints that we must adhere to, and that is our new idea of freedom, and have no doubt that is the freedom that we will be moving forward with. So if you don't like the look of the freedoms moving forward, what they're trying to teach us is now freedom, well, time to pull your head out of the sand and time to stand up and be counted. Because the future that the New World Order is bringing towards you, by the time you decide that you don't like it, if you don't do anything now, by the time you decide you don't like it, it'll be done. And we have to make a stand against, for example, vaccine passports, because once that's in, it's pretty hard to come back from there, I personally think. We can, but it just makes it a lot more difficult. So we are Pavlov's dogs, have no doubt about that. And right now, with all the conflict that I mentioned in the other video, what you're seeing is the dogs that learn the quickest of these new rules are pretty passionate about teaching the others to keep up with this, keep up to speed with the new rules, and they help teach them. So that refers to dobbing in your neighbour, for example, or if somebody isn't social distancing or has a couple of people over at their house or whatever, you ring up and you dob them in. Personally, I think that is absolutely un-Australian, but anyway. So that's what's really going on, folks. We're being trained on one hand to move forward for the New World Order. There is light at the end of the tunnel, okay? It's not going to happen. I can not guarantee it, but I can assure you there's a hell of a lot more going on than what people realise. And if you're only watching the black box in the corner of your room, your one source of information, then you're probably oblivious to what's really going on. But there is a lot more going on than meets the eye. And I believe this is very soon to turn around. However, when it does start to turn around, what then? Solutions to move forward. And that's going to be the topic of the next couple of videos. How do we move forward when all the facade comes crumbling down and we realise what's been happening and what's been going on? How do we start to move forward? All right, guys, thank you very much. I hope you all enjoy your day. And remember, the game stops when you stop playing. Ciao for now, boys and girls.